Hey Deadheads, welcome to
Dead Authors Club, where we resurrect the classics
and bury the complexity.
We're your club presidents,
Andrew Jackson
and Lyndon B. Johnson.
Get started. Oh no.
Alright, Deadheads, welcome back to another episode.
Episode 8, I am fairly certain.
I can't with the mic dangling off of your antenna.
It just made
me
We
decided to be in theme for this episode.
Yes.
So,
which is great because I told myself I'm gonna look really cute for this episode. And then Lyndon texted me and said, I wish we had exterminator outfits. What's better than 2 exterminators? 1 exterminator and a bug.
we look so cute for this episode.
Insane.
So let's start with the recap of what happens in this very, very short novella that he wrote. So from the very first line, he wakes up and he's just a cockroach. And his reaction is not, I must be dreaming. It's not, what happened to me? It's just, oh no, I'm going to be so late for work because of this.
So inconvenient.
It's just so inconvenient
By
for
turning
work.
into a cockroach.
What am I going to do? And then he has this moment of like trying to get out of bed. There's a struggle. His boss ends up coming to visit because he misses his train.
Yeah,
is it his boss?
It's the second in command.
Second in command, okay.
So it's like his boss, and then there's the guy.
So, mind you, he misses like the 7 a.m. train. It's like 8 a.m. and they're knocking on his door like, why did you miss the train? Why aren't you at work?
Which I thought was so weird. Does that happen in other countries?
No, I thought that was so weird. But they did say that he's just not one to miss work ever. So they were making sure he wasn't dead, basically. They were just like, not dead, but they were like, you must be really, really sick. And his mom is like, he's just so sick. I promise you, he takes work serious, because they were scared of him losing his job.
Because he provides for his whole family.
Yes,
he works.
That's very important.
And he's the only one who works in his family.
And he has a sister, a mother, and a father. The father is in debt, so he works as a salesman.
Textile salesman.
Yeah. So then he will unlock the door, and originally the door is locked because he locks his family out. But now he has little arms. There's so many lines in the book about him like squirming
and
or
skittering.
So anyway, he moves. He cannot get the door unlocked, but then they figure out how to because they think something's very wrong. Because when he tries to talk, he sounds like an animal. They can't understand him really.
I just imagine him like squeaking.
No, me too.
Like he's having this long dialogue with his boss or his manager, and it's all just like.
So they start freaking out. They barge the door down, and he's just a giant cockroach. And the boss runs away. And his family doesn't really think that it's weird. They're just, again, stressed about how inconvenient it is that he's not going to be making them money anymore.
Well, they were a little.
I feel like they were. Okay, here's what I mean. They treated it like it was an illness.
Yes, they did.
It was odd. They didn't want to be around it. They ostracized him. But they just kind of were like, eventually this might go away. So then the sister starts taking care of him. She feeds him like moldy food. She figures out what he likes to eat. She checks in on him all the time.
Some time goes by, and he ends up seeing his dad, and he's like, did I miss something? His dad is lethargic, like doesn't really get out of bed, doesn't really walk around. His hair is usually crazy and all this stuff. But now his eyes are clear, and his hair is combed, and he looks put together, and he's up and out of bed, and he looks more responsive, and he's like, what is going on? This is not the man I remember as my dad.
I thought it was really interesting that the language or like the tone around his father kind of changes. He seems to have more respect for him. Mm-hmm. And he starts describing his uniform a lot.
Yes.
He's in this blue uniform with gold buttons. Yeah. Yes, exactly. So then his dad gets a job and thinks that's one step better for the family.
Mm-hmm. So the sister also eventually gets a job, and she is still kind of taking care of him. Her focus starts to shift. And so now we're seeing his dad's working, his sister's working, and even his mom is working now. She's sewing undergarments for a boutique. There's one part where I thought it was interesting because he says that he starts to be entertained by climbing up on the ceiling, hanging up on the ceiling. And so his sister notices that she sees the gunk on the ceiling. They describe his fluids a lot too, like his bodily fluids and adhesive. It's described in one part, his adhesive from his feet.
Anywhere he crawls, he leaves like this liquid behind, so the sister notices it.
So gross, so foul. So his sister notices this liquid on the ceiling and is like, oh, okay, he seems to be entertained by going up there. I'm gonna wait until my dad goes to work, bring my mom in. We're gonna move all the furniture out of his bedroom so that he can easily get up there. He's all about it. He's like, yeah, I want to turn my bedroom into a cave. And then something happens where his mom's like, do we really want to move all of the furniture out of his bedroom? Because at that point, are we just accepting that this is his fate? Like, he's never going to get better?
Right.
And his sister kind of talks the mom through that. And then Gregor, we didn't mention
by the way,
his name is Gregor. Gregor the cockroach.
Gregor the cockroach.
So Gregor is kind of like, wait, actually, yeah, do I want you to move all the furniture out of my room?
He says he didn't even realize that he's becoming more animalistic in his ways.
Yeah, and he was like, wait, am I going to let myself succumb to this?
Right.
And so he panics. They leave the door open because they're trying to move all the furniture out. They take a quick break, and he skitters out of the room. He crawls up on the wall, and he sits on like this picture, right? It's like
a picture of a woman in a fur coat that he does not want to let go of.
He's like trying to show them, no, I want this.
His mom passes out, and then his sister, everything changes where now they kind of blame him for almost killing his mother.
And he blames himself too a little bit. He's like, wait, did I just cause this?
Yeah, but then his father comes home, and he's like, I don't want them to think I'm this animalistic creature that's trying to kill my mom, which is what the father thinks. Mm-hmm. So he runs back into his room, and he shoves his whole body against the door so that his dad can't get in. And so the book says that his dad will be like, oh, he's going back to his room, so it's okay.
Right.
But that's not what happens. Dad is like, I knew it. He's a danger to the family. And so then they go in after him. Then the dad hits him.
He starts throwing apples at him.
That's what I was going to say.
Dad starts throwing apples at
Gregor. And one gets him in the back.
One embeds in his flesh, it says. And I'm only using this language because this is how it is in the book. And honestly, we have to suffer, so do you. Yeah. So it embeds in his flesh. And it's very painful to him. And weeks or maybe months go by. And this apple is still embedded in his flesh. Yeah, the wound, I want to say what I want to say, but I can't until the end. So, but the wound is a catalyst for what happens in Gregor's life. Yes.
So then in the last part, the family, they bring in boarders, people to stay in the house.
Yeah, for some reason, they all have jobs, but they just keep getting
more want money.
I think they're remaining poor.
The father's debts, probably.
Yeah. So they're all working these jobs. The mom, the sister, the dad, they're all working now. Which before, all of them relied very heavily on Gregor. We'll get to that.
Yeah.
And we'll get to that. But at this point, they're talking about maybe moving into a smaller house or something, but they can't because Gregor's here. And not only could they not like move him without raising suspicion, people like looking at them.
Yeah.
But also, they're ashamed. Mm-hmm. And they just feel like they need to stay in this.
That's huge. That's a huge part.
And so instead of moving, because they can't, they end up taking in these boarders. Okay. So it's these two men with beards. That's apparently very important to the story.
Two men with beards.
Two men with beards move into the house, and the family just becomes very like, it describes them as overly accommodating. They've never had boarders in the house before, so they don't know how to treat it.
Yes.
They don't even want to sit on their own furniture. They're kind of just like, cooking to make stuff that they like, and they're holding their breath to make sure that these men are comfortable.
And they hide Gregor away. It's a family secret. These men don't know that Gregor is there. And Gregor, he gets to peek out a couple times because it talks about him being jealous of the way his mother's feeding them and just being like, I think it's almost a hint to us that he was being starved.
Well, yeah,
they have completely neglected him at this point.
Yeah, it says that before his sister was really taking good care of him and giving him good food and, whatever, encouraging him to eat. Now she's basically just kicking food on a plate into his room before she leaves the mic. It's so good.
The mic's just dangling there. Anyway,
she's kicking food.
Yeah, she doesn't even really pay much
into
attention.
His room.
So it talks about how he's jealous,
and he's not cleaning himself now in protest to his family. He used to rub his back on the carpet to get all the dirt and dust off, and now
he was very accommodating to them, but now they're not being accommodating with him, so he's just like, I'm done. And then so one day he sneaks out because his sister's playing the violin, She's a musician throughout the whole story, and he sneaks out to hear it, and the boarders see him, and they refuse to pay any more money or anything. They're just like, okay, well, that's disgusting. This is something in your house. Like, we're not paying for this anymore. And now the family feels truly inconvenienced. The sister has a conversation with her family, and Gregor hears it of maybe we stop talking about this thing like it's Gregor, and maybe it's time to be rid of it. And so now he's been completely dehumanized.
Mm-hmm.
He hears the conversation, goes back to his room, and dies.
Yeah.
Did I miss a step?
No.
That's it. It's very.
But they
don't know.
assess they like see his body afterwards, and it's
Oh,
described
yes.
as super flat, and they notice that he was starved to death basically,
Mm-hmm.
and they're kind of like, oh well, he just wasn't eating, not even taking into account that they're the ones that were feeding him.
And then the family moves away, or they go out on vacation, and it's a happy ending for them. The last sentence talks about how they can't wait to find the daughter a husband, and they've all completely moved on from who they were in the beginning of the book.
Do you want to read the last sentence?
Yeah, but I have to find exactly what page. Oh, she dropped, you guys.
I hope you're not concussed.
And the last sentence of the book is, and it felt like a confirmation of their new dreams and their fond intentions when, as they reached their destination, their daughter was the first to get up and stretched her nubile young body. So the daughter goes through a change in terms of, she goes from a young girl to a woman. The family goes through a change from being very depressed and cooped up to moving on into the sunlight. This book fits definitely into the existentialism literary 20th century works. This was a movement where people kind of started writing about what if the only purpose of life is that we exist and there is no other purpose. There's nothing after death. There's no deeper meaning to life. It was kind of very, I don't know, to me dull, but a lot of works around this time or in this genre or in this era dealt with very kind of depressing literature. And then on top of that, you have the absurdity of it. So the fact that he is a cockroach and it's just normal or out of the ordinary, but not so out of the ordinary that it's nobody panics. So those are like the two main factors that this book would fit into. Is definitely existential, because also a lot of main characters in existential literature are, what's the word I'm trying to say? No, but you're close. They are isolated. A lot of main characters are isolated characters in existential literature.
Yeah.
So it's like it's bleak. That's the word I was trying to say.
Bleak.
The words are coming to me. It's bleak. They are isolated. Okay, so that is a lot of what Kafka is doing here. I think in some of his themes are, he's kind of saying, you know, what is the purpose of existing? Money, your job, and then what after that? If you don't have that, you know, what happens to Gregor is he loses purpose and just dies and rots. Mm-hmm. But anyway, I don't think that that's my takeaway, but I do think that that's something he was trying to do in the box of existentialism literature.
Well, the thing about Kafka.
Tell me the thing about Kafka.
So, another posthumous theme.
Okay, why did he die before he?
Yes, yeah. So I have things.
Okay, go ahead.
So Kafka's literature, because Kafka's style of writing was so unique and so bizarre, it was the term Kafkaesque was coined, obviously because of his last name, but because of his writing style. It's like very surrealism, very illogical, and he focused a lot on bureaucratic themes and situations. So knowing that and going into reading this time, I was trying to picture like what he could be talking about in relation to bureaucracy. Did you get any of that from, like, I think was very clearly written because of the manager?
Okay. No, I definitely, you'd say that again, but
you say that again. You say that again.
I was going to say that. I didn't want to cut you off or take that away.
Yeah, no. So that theme of like that bureaucratic hierarchy is obviously very plainly displayed in this novel
Yes.
with how Gregor views his job.
Yes.
It's very like transactional. He hates his job.
Hates it.
He despises it. Thank you. Thank you. I like the echo for
well, because I was gonna say that's what we said was like the very first thing he does when he gets out of bed though and realizes he's a bug is be like, oh, I'm gonna be so late to work.
Like they're gonna
but he does say it's so many times that he hated that job and he only took the job to help his family out. But he's a prisoner to the system. Yeah. And his whole family was. So going
because his father had the debts.
Yep.
And he could no longer work. Did they ever say why he couldn't work?
No, I don't think it mattered. I think it was just your dad's not working, your mom's not working, your sister's not working. You have a lot of debt.
Yeah.
Step up and do what you're supposed to do.
And I think it's interesting because the book starts with what? You hate me being a bug. You hate it.
It's just bouncing on the side. Anyway, you think it's interesting why?
I think it's
I thought so.
No, I don't. It's just become normal to me now.
Okay.
I think it's really interesting that the book starts out with Gregor being the one working. What do you want from me?
I'm really going through what you went through, but just let's not look at each other while you talk. You think it's interesting? Go ahead, say it again, and then take it from there, because I want to hear why you think that's interesting.
I think it's interesting that Gregor starts this short story working, slave to the system, just, nonstop. And then his family are the ones that are lethargic, laying in bed. They're not, like, his dad is described as not getting out of bed. His sister's just a kid. His mom,
it says his mom walks from her bed to the window and then starts wheezing. Like she can't.
Yeah, they're out of shape. Yeah. They're really unhealthy. They're just not well physically. And then by the end of the book, the roles are obviously completely reversed. Like, it's just a mirror image of, but I don't know. They end up being the ones that are slave to the system.
Yes.
And working to show nothing. And then they have nothing to show for it because they all have jobs at this point. And they have these boarders that are living in their house, but they're still dirt poor.
Yeah.
And then Gregor's the one then who is.
See, and I struggled because this is my first read, and when I was reading it in the beginning, there's a line in there about how he always thought that one day he was going to have a fresh start. And I thought as I was reading it, okay, so whatever's happening here, Gregor, it's going to force him to quit his job, but it's going to force him to have an awakening. He's going to turn back into a man and he's going to have this great life. That was my expectation. And so when that didn't happen, and when it happens actually for the family at the end, I forced my own theories onto that. But
no, let's talk about it. There was a fresh start in the end.
Right. And I was struggling with what could that, why give them the happy ending? What was the whole point? Like, I don't know. I just really read into that with themes. So this is definitely not canon. Don't take my word for it. It's canon now. It's canon now. I was wondering, I know it's not, okay, but it could be read as a metaphor for addiction, I thought.
I like that.
Because you have the sister who's like not really willing to let go yet, and the dad's kind of like, I'm done. He loses his job. Then they're feeding him garbage and he's eating it. And he at first he fights it, and then he starts giving into it. And the mom's like, I don't know if we should really pack up the room yet. And he wants to hold on to that one last piece. And then it's almost like everyone hits their final straw with him. And then they're ready to move on. And then when he passes away, they do, and they're like out in the sunlight, and she's ready to get married, and it's like, what was the point of the happy ending if not the fact that Gregor may have been the problem? But I know that that's not where Kafka was going with it. I just think you could read it that way.
Yeah,
that is my hot take.
No, I like that.
But I know Gregor was more of the problem because he was kind of feeding them, which is also where I thought maybe Gregor's condition was more like Gregor wasn't actually part of the family, but he could have been the dad's mental disability, where the depression kept him in bed all day and all of that. And then when he finally defeats it, he has a job and he's going on vacation. I don't know. I knew that those aren't real things.
No, that's a really cool take. I love that.
Those were the takes I got because I just really struggled with the ending just being, but then I liked what you said, that well, now the family succumbs to the system, this bureaucratic system, and they leave. And it's definitely more, I think Kafka is definitely more making a commentary on transactional love and the fact that that's what this economy or this system will do with families. It will make them transactional, you know? So I don't know. That's where I was going with.
No, I love that the metamorphosis was obviously Gregor turning into the bug, but then from there, the family also had their own metamorphosis.
Yes, I got that. I definitely got that from it. But I think it's interesting that your take on the metamorphosis was the succumbing to the system.
Mm-hmm.
Like they went from like,
break the cycle.
I guess they're always there. Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think they broke the cycle.
I think that's what that line probably meant.
Getting out of that and like re-entering, you know, the light and stepping into who they were meant to be. The sister becomes this woman and she enters society, whatever it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're talking about society so much that.
Did you get a sense of dread? Because
yes.
I did. I kind of just kept being like, what about Gregor? What did it mean that he existed? Yeah, exactly. It's that existential dread.
Yes.
Where you're like, what did it mean that he existed and his whole life was his job? And then as soon as his job was taken from him, that was it. He just gave the family nothing and they locked him in a room.
I think it would have made more sense for Kafka to have turned Gregor into a rat.
Why?
To be part of the rat race, to be part of the, like, he was basically a cog.
Okay, okay, I can see that.
That's what the whole point of this, I think, is that Gregor was like just a product. Like he was literally just made to work and make his boss's money, even to the point where, like you said, it was his biggest concern. I wrote that down. That was one of my notes for this. Is like, as I was rereading, I'm like, immediately, why didn't he react to becoming a bug?
Right.
Like, he woke up and wasn't like you said, oh my gosh, I'm a cockroach. He was like, I'm going to be so late for work. And how am I going to get out of bed? How am I going to get on the next train? I can get on the next train. How am I going to get my textile
and what I think is wild is like, that is America today too. Like all I would think about is how am I going to call out for this? Who's going to cover my shift or whatever? Like I didn't make my lesson plans. Like I could be in a car accident and I'm thinking about calling out, you know? So
no, it's crazy. We all think that way, but it's so dehumanizing.
It is, like, and I think that was a huge point of this.
Yeah.
And that was a huge point. And I think that point is really made it. He really drives it home with the sister at the end saying, we need to stop thinking of him as Gregor and just get rid of it. And then you're like, okay, slowly this process of dehumanization was happening, but it happens to us every day with the corporate world.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, honestly, okay, I'm going to go there now with the modern novel and you're going to hate my modern comparison.
I think I have for the last couple episodes, actually.
Yeah, well, this one, so for my book club, we read this book. I'll let you smell your coffee.
I know exactly where you're going with
it. It's called Hard Copy.
I can't feel.
And it's about a woman who is in love with her printer, but it's because of, but listen, what if I told you that I read a book where a man turns into a cockroach? Pretty ridiculous, pretty absurd. But it's because of her burnout from her job. And then the whole theme of the book is about how things are replaceable. The reason that she emotionally connects to the printer is because she feels as burnt out as the old crusty printer. And when it gets replaced, she goes on a whole hunt and loses her mind to find the printer because it meant something to her that like she is that working machine that is burnt out, crusty, and she's going to be replaced with the next shiny thing because people are dehumanized and they are objectified, you know, like the next best.
I can see where you're
going with that's where
I just hate that book exists.
I hate that book exists, but in 2026, I was like, she's kind of doing what Kafka did.
Sexualize?
No, there's none of that.
With her
there's none of that. Nope. Okay. It's like a thing that she identifies with, confides in, talks to every day, and then she gets sent out on leave because people are like, you're on the phone all the time. And she's like, on the phone. And like, yeah, they just heard you the other day talking about, and it's some political thing. I can't remember. And she's like, oh my gosh, like that was my conversation with the printer. Like she is experiencing burnout, and it sounds ridiculous. And I hated it because it was so ridiculous. I didn't finish the book until after my book club conversation. And I was like, my friend made me actually want to go back and finish the book. But it reminds me so much of how ridiculous the story is. Where if you're like, oh yeah, that book about that guy that turns into a cockroach because he's a product of his time. He's a product of, you know, the working class.
Yeah, it is.
You know what I'm saying?
It is kind of like outrageous when you read this book. And you're like, I remember thinking that when I read this in school, like, what am I reading? You know? But
Oh,
now,
yes.
because we probably were a little too young to learn about the deeper themes in this.
And if it
book.
wasn't a classic,
It would be weird.
Yeah, like the only reason that we're talking
Kafka
about
was weird. I mean, all of his writing was weird, but I love that because it's almost like Hemingway's iceberg theory.
Yes.
Every part of this. Do that again.
Iceberg.
This is the.
Let's say every time we say the iceberg theory. Iceberg
theory.
Iceberg theory. No, it is. But it's Kafkaesque.
It's Kafkaesque. It's weird. It's creepy. It's off-putting. It makes you feel uncomfortable. It's supposed to make you feel that way. It's a commentary on the time, on bureaucracy.
Yeah, Edith Wharton broke couples up the way that Kafka makes people feel like seen in a dreadful way. Like, oh my God, that's my life. If I turn into a cockroach tomorrow, I would be like, I gotta get to work. And people would replace me. People would just go find another teacher. So why am I doing that? Why am I burning out over my job? Not that I am, but I'm saying in general, people would find another waitress. People would find another nurse. And that's the American system.
It is. Everybody's replaceable.
It's corporate world.
And it makes you realize that, like, you know what? I'm going to use those vacation days.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm going to call out sick just for a self-care day.
I'm not
because
no, I will.
But, like, you know what? We live one life. Yeah. Gregor lived one life. And by the end of his life, people were
no one there to care.
And not even that they didn't care. They cared. They were glad.
Yeah.
They were relieved that he died. Like, okay, let's move on with our lives. You know what I mean? We're going to work until we're in the ground.
Yep.
So we have to in this economy. Are we working to live or are we living to work?
That's a word.
Well, that's a very common word.
I know.
I wish I could take credit.
No, yeah, it's really good. I had one other modern take that's less
weird.
No, less parallel. Less parallel.
Okay, well, I can see hard copy up.
Right?
I can see that parallel.
The other one was Babadook. The monster. Have you ever seen the movie? Yeah. Have you ever seen it?
No, I haven't seen it.
Well, it's if you've seen Babadook, it's about a monster that gets kept in the basement. It's supposed to be scary. I didn't think it was that scary, but it's really about the mom's mental health. And that's what made me... The only reason I compared it to that is because I was wondering if the dad's mental health is the cockroach.
Okay.
If, like, that's why he suppressed her. That's the only reason.
That's a really cool take on it.
Thank you.
Do you think so?
I thought you were being sarcastic.
No, I said it when you said it originally, but, like, I really like that.
So that's the only reason I thought about Duke. But other than that, there's no comparison. The mom, like, feeds the monster, even though it's hurting kids, which the dad doesn't do that. But yeah, I don't know. I just thought because of the way it ends so bright and warm without... I guess my whole question was, like, why didn't Gregor get to make it when we've been following his character the whole time? And so that's me reconciling why. I was like, well, maybe if it was about this, and maybe if he represented this other horrible thing, it would make more sense. But that's why I said I know that's not Kafka, because he's like, no, he just doesn't make it, and you're supposed to sit with that and stare at the wall. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, and that's the story.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. The end.
Yeah. It's interesting because I feel like the family kind of gets a little bit of their spark back, like halfway through the book, and then all of a sudden, like,
they metamorphosize.
They just keep going. Like, it's like they start low, they reach this pinnacle where they're, like, finally getting their spark back. They're, the dad is active, the mom's active. They feel like they have purpose, and then all of a sudden they just kind of gradually go back down. But it is interesting to me too that when Gregor dies, right, and they're all working, how it's so mirrored to the beginning, because Gregor loses his spark, he loses his self-worth, his self-respect, he stops cleaning himself, he stops taking care of himself, he doesn't want to eat, he turns into what his family was in the beginning.
Wow.
It's almost like they had no purpose in the beginning, which is what was making them live this sedentary life. And then Gregor was pushing himself. He didn't really have a super spark about him.
No, he didn't. They say, like, he barely had any friends.
He was very dull.
Ride the train, go to work. He calls himself dull, I think.
That was the Buccaneers. No, his dad says
his mom?
His dad says that he's always upset because even on the weekends, even when he's in town, he doesn't go out.
Yeah, they were saying that he's such a good worker. Don't fire him because even like I get upset because he doesn't even eat sometimes because he just comes home and just keeps working and loves work.
So it's not like he really has like a spark. So it's not super mirrored to the end. But the family lives a sedentary life. They have no sense of purpose because none of them are working. But then by the time that they reach the end and they all have jobs and they're all working, they're all still like, what are we doing this for?
That's true, yeah.
And they still, it feels very purposeless. Like they still,
yeah, no, I could see that. It feels like they're still trapped in the system, even though they think they got out. But like,
so like even in the beginning, are they trapped? Are we even trapped in the system when we don't have jobs? Because we're just like, we have no.
Someone else is doing it for us. Yeah, we have no purpose. Yeah. Well, that's that existential part of it. Yeah. Of like, what is our purpose outside of just existing? Mm-hmm. So, and what do we do when we exist? We work. So, who are we outside of our jobs? Nothing. Yeah. That's very, very dreadful genre.
It's very dreadful. It's very dark. It's very Kafkaesque.
Kafkaesque.
Are you
blaming?
No, I want to talk about Kafka.
Go ahead.
Can we talk about Kafka?
Yeah.
All right. So, Kafka was born in Prague. He was born to a middle-class German-speaking Jewish family, and he was one of 6 kids. He was actually the oldest, and his 2 younger brothers died when they were infants, and then his 3 sisters later died in Nazi camps. And also, he struggled with his health his whole entire life.
Wow.
He was always sick. And that's why I kind of thought it was interesting when Gregor talks about his lungs not working. Like, he had problems with his lungs and stuff because Kafka himself had issues like that his whole life, and he actually died of tuberculosis.
Well, I saw that some scholars theorize that Gregor is an extension of Kafka with his relationship with his father.
I was going to say that Gregor is an extension of Kafka because he was sickly, because he hated his job. He earned a law degree, and he ended up working for an insurance company, and he found it time-consuming and exhausting. We talked about the term Kafkaesque and what that means. Yes. Obviously, it was coined after him, but it is any literary work that is describing like an isolated individual in like weird.
Okay, so hard copy was Kafkaesque.
Yeah.
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 Because she also was isolated. She was sent away from her job, but anyway.
Anything illogical, anything nightmarish, anything absurd, anything
in isolation.
Hard copy is definitely not.
Or like, no, I didn't mean it. I meant Steven Spielberg. Could we think of...
Stephen King.
I was wrong with names. Stephen King. Would he be Kafkaesque in some of his works?
I don't think...
Carrie?
No.
Why?
I don't think horror... Like, I think horror is a separate thing. I think...
What's nightmarish?
Nightmarish meaning, like, nightmarishly absurd.
Okay.
Like, things that are illogical. They don't make sense. They're weird. They're outlandish to think about, but there's symbolism behind it, and usually there's a character in isolation.
I would be so interested in finding other literature that's labeled as Kafkaesque. I
think there's a ton.
No, I know that. I'm saying I'd be interested to read it.
Know that there's a ton.
Yeah.
So... he was best known for his works, Metamorphosis, The Trial, and The Castle, and another posthumous king. He ordered his friend Max Brod to destroy his unfinished works.
Wow.
If he died, because he had tuberculosis, and it caused him to retire. He was very, very, very sick.
They all get that.
So, they all
get that in the end.
That's what gets him in the end. So he told his friend Max Brod, destroy my works. Wow. When I die. Anything unfinished, destroy it. Because, I mean, if you think about it, his stuff is pretty weird. It's pretty out there. So, like, without the finished product and the explanation, you just kind of... I don't know, it's not going to do it justice.
Yeah.
But...
Well, I was going to say, that's... If you look at what happened with Edith Wharton's works, she died, did not destroy her works, and some of her stuff that got put in museums, I feel she'd be horrified to find out.
I was gonna say, like, to some degree, I wonder if she would be, like, disappointed with the way that people finished her works. But I don't think...
Yeah, it's hard. That's hard to know.
I don't know.
I think she'd be very satisfied with the show, but we're not. This is not her episode.
Yes.
She's been
However,
put to rest.
He wanted Max to burn all of his unpublished works.
So poetic.
Including The Trial and The Castle.
No way.
Which are two of his most famous works.
Wait, so he didn't finish those?
He didn't finish them.
Or did he finish them, but then he died, and so he wanted Max to burn them? He did not
finish them.
Somebody else did?
And so Max ignored his requests and published them anyway. And
that is such betrayal.
He is the reason Kafka is a major literary figure.
Kafka could have done it on his own.
He died.
So did somebody else finish those works, or were they done? He asked him to burn them.
No, I'm pretty sure they're just published unfinished.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yep.
I don't know, man. I would haunt you.
You would haunt me?
I would haunt you.
You would haunt me?
Because you're going to be the person I'm going to trust to burn them.
I'm not burning your nothing.
You would. Yeah, you would.
I'm not burning your nothing.
You would if it was my dying wish. Yes, you would. Yes, you would. Yes, you would. Then you're not my maid of honor.
Okay.
Because burn them. Because respectfully, burn them if I want them burnt. They're my works.
Disrespectfully, imagine if Emily Bronte's sister had allowed her to stay Emmett. What was the name? What was the name? What was the name?
About?
You know what I'm talking about.
I know. I don't know what you're talking about.
The pseudonym. What was it?
What was the name? What was the name? It was Emmett something.
Emmett or something. Was it Emmett? I thought it was
with an E.
Yeah. It was E.B. still. But Charlotte Bronte.
No, I get that.
Outed her sister's pseudonym that she wrote under. She wanted to stay under. And allowed her to become one of the most famous writers of all time. Kafka's boy, Max, said, no, these works are amazing.
Both are in the wrong.
Girl, I would finish your story.
No.
And I would publish it. And I would write an amazing...
I guess if it wasn't embarrassing. Like, Edie... Here's the thing. Edie needed someone to go through her works and be like, this one should be finished and this one shouldn't. Because some of her stuff is a little embarrassing. But, I feel like I would trust you to be like, not this one.
I feel as though
but, like, this is one's so good, let's put it out there.
This is a very Joe Goldberg, Guinevere Beck situation.
What, bro? Why?
He finished her novel and published it and she became a bestseller. Posthumously.
He finished her novel to get out of murdering her. Okay. He framed somebody else in the murder.
Okay.
The only reason she became a bestseller is because she died and people wanted to know what happened to her.
No. She wrote an amazing novel.
Joe wrote the novel.
Joe finished the novel for her.
No.
And honestly...
You gotta go back and rewatch that.
I think it's what Beck would have wanted.
You think Beck would have wanted her killer out there on the loose and her boyfriend in prison forever? It
was a complicated situation.
I'm done. These are two hot takes. I can't take the heat. I'm getting out of the kitchen. Extermination.
We're gonna have to delete that.
Dude, his feet. I gotta find that sentence. It's so funny.
Find it.
I'm not gonna be able to find it. There's no way I'm gonna be able to find it.
Find it. There's a myth going around as well that Kafka designed the hard hat.
Find it. Well, yeah, it's funny.
It says that his friends regarded his sense of humor as dry and dark. That he was a funny guy.
Well, that's the other thing about him. I think, ooh, you know what's Kafkaesque a little bit? Ready or Not, the movie.
I'm so sorry. I'm so incredibly sorry. You keep citing horror movies that I will not...
But listen, it's not horror.
I'm not going to relate.
It's ridiculous.
I won't relate.
It's funny.
I can't relate.
But what I'm saying is it's dark humor. I can't give away the ending, but it's like dark humor. And it has some really deep themes about some stuff. So it could be. I don't know. I'd have to read. I'm going to Google some titles that are Kafkaesque. Because I want to read Kafkaesque outside of Kafka, you know? Like, I want to see what gets deemed that.
Yeah, you want to see the parallels between the... Because, I mean, Kafkaesque, I would say, could be its own genre.
I'm never going to find it. I'm not going to try. No, definitely. That's all I want to know. When I took a theater class in college, we learned about the theater of the ridiculous. And it's basically like, it's ridiculousness done on purpose, where it's not meant to make sense. And it's not meant to be, something where you're like, oh yeah, from beginning to end, scene to scene, this is telling a story. It's literally meant to just be stupid or like ridiculous and there's no point to it. But that changed my perspective on so many things I've seen in the world where I'm like, oh, this is the genre of ridiculousness. Where Kafka, I feel like, is a genre of absurdity,
Yeah.
Anyway, go ahead.
I had a couple of thoughts as well. And these are things that I ran into when I was kind of searching, like, what did this mean? Because for me, I thought it was really weird that Kafka mentioned the lady in fur.
Okay.
Like, specifically, like, why is it a picture of the lady in fur? I don't know. I just feel like anytime a writer is specific about something, I feel like it just means something.
Definitely.
So, allegedly, the lady in fur represents, obviously, we know it's like his last shred of humanity that he's hanging on to, because this is right before they clean out his room to make it his little cave. But also, some scholars think that it's like an interesting way to point out the fact that he was isolated even before he became a bug, because his most prized possession that he wants to hang on to is a picture of a woman from a magazine clipping, not like a picture of him with like someone else. It's like someone who, like, he doesn't have friends. He doesn't have...
I read it as like his last, like you said, his last shred of humanity, but what was his humanity? It was for wealth and maybe like just shallow things like beauty.
Yes,
like,
beauty, wealth, like,
so I just read it as the
and,
things he was clinging on to about his humanity.
Even like relationally, like maybe he had that desire.
Right, exactly. I just read it like this is who he was as a human. It was wealth and shallow like beauty and stuff, and that's what he was holding on to. It's all he had to hold on to for his humanity. So I guess it's the same thing. Same thing twice.
And I thought that the door was a really big symbol.
Yes, me too.
In this, and
that's
then
why I kept saying it like that. With he chose to lock himself in, and then they chose to lock him.
He had autonomy
in the beginning,
and then it symbolized his loss of autonomy at the end, and he became a passive observer through the crack in the door, like just being forced to watch through the crack in the door. And then it also was a signal. And it's funny because I'm rewatching The Buccaneers again, because it's the best show on television. I don't care what anybody says. But there's this one part where the Duchess tells Nan that a glove could be a really important way to, like, signal things.
Oh, I yelled yes like that.
Yes.
Yes, I remember that.
Yes. It could be a really good way to, like, signal hidden messages. And I thought that the door was a really good way to signal how the family was feeling toward Gregor.
Yes.
Sometimes they would leave the door cracked, and it'd be like, you're welcome to come out, or, like, to peer out. But, it depends on how we're feeling. We're feeling generous right now, but it could change at any moment. Sometimes the door was left wide open. He was free to go out and explore as he so chose. Sometimes the door was shut really quickly, locked, like they wanted nothing to do with him. So he was kind of using the door as like a cue on how he was able to communicate and like be around his family that day.
I read it like it was a symbol of his loss of humanity, like his dehumanization. But like less of how the family, well, I guess more of how the family viewed him, but less of how they felt about him. And in a way, like, oh, now you can come out, now you can't. It was just the door slowly becomes this shut and locked thing. The way that he slowly just becomes a dead thing to them.
But even in the beginning, like he locked himself in. Right. He was the one who gave himself that isolation. He chose to give himself that isolation.
In the end, sorry, they see him. No, I think I was me. I
thought we were doing it together.
Yeah, but in the end, they see him as nothing, basically, to their family, and so then the door becomes this way to keep him in instead of him keeping them out.
And like, it's sad that Gregor dies in the end, but at the same time, it's like he was a symbol of isolation from the beginning to the end. It didn't even matter if he was a bug or not. He isolated himself in the beginning, and by the end, he was forced to isolate. Isolated.
Yep.
Yeah. So he was a symbol, I think, a huge symbol of isolation. And his parents, I think, eventually realized that when they got themselves out of isolation is when they broke the cycle. And that was, I think, the important theme of the book.
Yeah.
The short story.
I think so, too. I think it all comes down to that. Even if we deep dive and pick out our own things, that's definitely what it's meant to
Isolation,
Dehumanization.
And freedom from isolation, dehumanization because of the bureaucrat.
Yep.
Yeah, you said bureaucracy. I said bureaucratic system. Bureaucracy.
Blame the author? I only have one.
I want to hear yours because you said, I will blame the author.
My only blame the author is making him a cockroach. I just was like, you could have made him anything else. Anything else.
A slug.
Because also, though, how much more powerful would the message have been if he wasn't something gross and detestable?
But the whole point was that working the way that we work.
He could have been a rat. Now, he could have been a rat.
Still gross.
Yeah, but not as gross as a cockroach.
Ratatouille.
No sluggish.
Ratatouille's
no
Kafkaesque.
No juices.
Ratatouille's Kafkaesque.
No, but maybe Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Not Kafkaesque.
You said nightmarish weird.
Yes, but like...
There's nothing about Ratatouille that's nightmarish weird.
Well, okay. It's illogical.
Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
It's illogical.
So is Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. And
no, that's like sci-fi.
The sci-fi Kafkaesque. This is like sci-fi.
That was like a magic trick. He turned the kids into like little small people.
It's a nightmare.
But it has no symbolism.
What's it's all about his
Ratatouille's symbolism? No. Cause no.
No, cause
I'll die on this hill. I love Ratatouille and I believe that it's...
And I love the symbolism. Don't ever say Honey, I Shrunk the Kids has no symbolism or themes. It is quite literally all about the way that the father sees his job and his family.
Okay, but that's not...
And then in the end, he goes after his kids and saves his kids and loves his kids and he realizes his family is more important. And it is a nightmare because he shrinks his kids. They wake up and they say, oh, spiders are big now.
That was your big...
Well, I wasn't going that deep on it.
Spiders are big now.
I don't want to go that deep on it, but I'm saying don't ever say that.
There's
maybe shallow.
Way more symbolism in Ratatouille.
Talk to me.
Okay, first of all, it's about the way that people are perceived, the privilege that some have over others.
Mm-hmm. It's about anyone can cook. I'm kidding. I love it movie. And it's about giving the underdog a chance.
Remy was a rat that wanted to cook. That is illogical. It doesn't make any sense.
But it's not nightmarish.
There's no way he can become a chef.
But that's more like allegorical.
And one person who was a critic.
We're both off.
I think we're both off.
I don't think it's Kafkaesque, but I understand what you're trying to say.
I'm going to Google it.
But then I want to hear blame the author, because mine was about him being a cockroach. I just think he could have been.
Is not traditionally Kafkaesque in the sense of a nightmarish, irrational, hopeless bureaucracy. However, elements of the film can be interpreted as a light animated take on themes similar to Kafka's The Metamorphosis.
And it has to be about bureaucracy.
Specifically regarding societal alienation, but he was alienated. He was alienated from his whole family, and he was also alienated from society. He's a marginalized outsider. An outsider.
We read. We are well read. We're well read. I got to read more Kafka because is that what all of his books are like? They all are like that? All the characters wake up as vermin?
It's canon. No.
It's canon now.
Yeah, I think it really closely mirrors the Metamorphosis, actually. The only difference is that he doesn't wake up a rat. However, Linguini is controlled by a rat. Linguini, as a human, is controlled by a rat. He's nothing by himself, but when he is under the control of this rat, he becomes something, and he feels like he's worth something, and then his...
I'm only basing this off the Metamorphosis, but I feel like Kafka's endings aren't like that. It's not really about that. It's about, like, the dread of the fact that there's nothing else.
Well, he is. He's dreading the fact that he wants to be...
Stop trying to make fetch happen.
He's not understood by his family. He's too human for his rat family, but he's too ratty for human society. He's completely isolated. And Linguini is the only other person who understands him because Linguini is like the human opposite to him. Linguini is his foil.
Why?
He's the complete opposite of him. He's human. He's a rat. He cannot cook. He can cook. He has no ability. He has this crazy human consciousness and is way above.
What do you mean he has no ability?
Linguini has no
skill. Linguini, sorry.
Yeah, no, he's no skill, no nothing. Remy is like this incredibly talented prodigy.
You switched who is who on which hand.
No, this has always been Linguini.
Short answer, no, Ratatouille isn't considered Kafkaesque. What Kafkaesque implies works by Franz Kafka. Mm. Unsettling, often absurd transformations. a sense of trapped helplessness, oppressive or confusing systems. I can see that. Existential dread or bleak outcomes.
That's Ratatouille as well.
He does not have a dreadful outcome.
Are you joking?
He opens a restaurant. He's allowed to cook.
Okay. He's not. He still has to hide who he is.
Yeah, but that's what he's happy with that. He does not care about that. That's not dreadful.
I 1,000% think that this is.
Okay, I'll let you down the hill, but you were wrong.
It says, listen to this. A parasitic existence. Remy exists as an outsider, forced to leech off the establishment, Gusteau's restaurant, to survive and fulfill his desires, mirroring the outcast status of characters in Kafka's work.
Okay, but the part that you're missing is the dreadful part. In terms of also, the theme of the movie ends up being deeper than, like, it is more about, like, your existence is more than the system. A Kafka version of Ratatouille would look more like this. Remy hides forever, unable to belong anywhere. Linguini resents or fears him. Their partnership becomes disturbing rather than charming. Society rejects them completely with no resolution.
Hi, do you remember the movie at all? Because their relationship does become disturbing. Remy does all of the work. Linguini gets all of the recognition. And Linguini turns on Remy at one point and takes all of this in and completely neglects him.
I have to pause because the whole time you were saying Linguini, I thought you were talking about the Invisible Chef. But anyway, keep going.
That's Gusteau.
Right, got you now. Keep going.
You don't even know what you're talking about. You just lost all credibility in my eyes.
No, I didn't. Because now I see who you're talking about, but I still don't see where you're going.
Remy's doing all the work. He's controlling Linguini. He's the one who actually knows what he's doing.
It's not disturbing because they're all happy about it.
Listen to me.
I am.
No, he's not. Because Linguini turns on Remy.
Yes, I know, but not by the end of the movie.
Leaves him to the side. Has this new relationship with this woman whose his whole relationship is based on a lie. He can't cook. He's not who he says he is at all. He's harboring a huge secret. And then he pushes Remy off to the side, which is why Remy ends up stealing food from the restaurant. Because he's like, F you, dude.
That's not where it ends.
That's not where it ends.
But it ends because with everybody making up and everybody accepting everybody as they are and everybody finding belonging where they're at. More of a hero's journey almost than it is Kafkaesque.
No, it is.
Yeah, he leaves where he's comfortable to go up on this big adventure. There's a big change, but he transforms by the end of the movie, okay, into this is what my problems were, this is what I believe life is about, to now this is what I know life is about, and all my problems are done and gone. And my family accepts me again. So, yeah. It's not Kafkaesque. We just gotta
what's Kafkaesque?
Okay, let's hear it.
Turbo.
Yes. No. A little? I could see it. I think it's still, again, heroes. Isn't there a movie where a man and a dog switch places? He's stuck in the dog's body.
Is it a Tim Allen flick?
Is it? And then they're like, Dad, it is you, right? Inside the dog.
What is that movie?
Am I right?
Is it? Is that a thing?
That's not what I can think of where, like, a human wakes up as an animal.
There's a movie. There is a movie about a man. No, I can't even talk about it.
Okay.
It's kind of a horror, maybe.
Okay. But Kafka...
It's a man who abducts another man and turns him into a walrus.
What the...
Yeah.
I don't know if that's Kafka. I don't know.
I think it's just called The Walrus. My Blame the Author is that it felt like there was a lot of symbolism in this. Like, it felt very heavily symbolic. But there were things that I feel like I still don't know. Like,
there's things... That was like me when I read, I forget the one that we read.
Old Man in the Sea.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. I just felt like I feel like I should be pulling more out of this, and I'm stuck. Because I feel like, to some degree, Kafka's work is iceberg theory a little bit, but at the same time, I also kind of feel like it's right up there in your face, and then some of it is just weird to be weird. Yeah. That's just his style.
Why choose a cockroach? Because it was weird, you know?
It's very, who's the director of American Horror Story? It reminds me of that.
I forget. I don't even know.
It's just very, like, off-put, and it's honestly kind of Tim Burton-esque.
Yeah, I can see that.
Like, very odd, very off-putting, just to make you feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, I could see that. And I think that sometimes, though, like, I feel like this is the Old Man in the Sea, I'm dissatisfied with the imagery because I want it to mean something that I enjoy themes to mean. Like, I think maybe you feel... Because I don't think that I think that we hit all of the imagery there is and all of the themes that there are.
Yeah.
I think that we just want it to mean more than existential dread.
Yes.
And being a product of the system, and it doesn't. Mm-hmm. And so because of that, we're like, oh, but I feel like there's more here. And there just isn't. That's exactly what he wanted this to be a metaphor for. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I think it just, because I felt like that with The Old Man and the Sea, where I was like, I'm not really satisfied with the fact that it's just about, like, the tenacity of man. Which is why I loved when we talked about it being about old age.
Yeah.
But even still, I felt like, I don't know. Sometimes we're just not happy with what it does represent, so then we're like, but there's got to be more.
Yeah.
And like, there's not.
It just feels incomplete. But it doesn't.
Yeah, I think
I wasn't happy with the ending, but it doesn't mean that it feels incomplete. It feels very complete to me.
I agree. I like that.
And the movie's called Tusk, and it is Kafkaesque. It's considered Kafkaesque.
Oh, there we go. We got one.
A Kafkaesque body horror film.
There we go. Now we got one.
Dehumanization and loss of self, nightmarish coercion, surreal body horror, absurdist metamorphosis. While it shares these thematic elements with Kafka, it's also highly influenced by the absurdist body horror style of the human centipede, which also I feel
we'll never go there. I learned about that in 6th grade.
I've never watched it, but I know the concept of it, and I think that it could be considered Kafkaesque. Because it represents something else, and it means something else.
Yeah, I can't go there.
We can't go there.
I'm scarred for life. And I've never even seen it.
I'm scarred for life knowing it exists, for sure.
Yeah, no, just knowing that there's a plot like that.
This is what I'm talking about with horror movies. Okay. The fact that the writers of that movie could come up with that concept.
What if there was? Yeah. But I think it's because
something demonic's going on.
No, but I think it's because of Trailblazers. How can I be the next Poe? How can I do something like Kafka did? Because I've been thinking about that since I've read this. How can I write something Kafkaesque? Ever since I learned that term existed, now it's all I want to do is try and write it. Mm. You know, and so anyway, I appreciate horror genre for, we've talked about this.
We've talked about this.
The mechanics of it, what it's supposed to do. Mm-hmm. I think people go way off with it. I do think that there's very dark movies out there. Just dark to be dark. But I think that you can find good horror that is... You can appreciate it for the genre that it is. Mm-hmm. You know, like this is meant to be like this. We've talked about it. I'm not going to get into it. But I feel that way, like with Kafka too. And with Poe. Poe was a trailblazer of his time, but then people go back and now they're like, how can I do a unreliable narrator? And then how can I play with form? Everybody wants to be the next great or mimic the greats, you know? So yeah, I don't always feel that way about horror that you do. I think there's something you can just appreciate. Like, this was a really well done plot and movie. Human Centipede, out of here. Yeah. We'll never. Mm-mm. Won't touch it with a 10-foot pole. Won't touch it with 20 Human Centipede. Okay, well, on that note, we're going to lighten up the mood on our next podcast.
We are going to squash this bug.
Let's lay him to rest. Rest in
weirdness. Starvation.
Okay.
Rest in Kafkaesque.
Rest in being away from the system.
No.
That you hated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rest in peace. Are we going to do Kafka again ever?
Oh yeah, he's coming back from the dead.
Okay, we'll resurrect him again. I want
to do the castle and stuff.
I love Kafka.
That's a pretty good segue to who we're resurrecting.
Who are we resurrecting next?
Okay, the next author we're going to resurrect is a longtime classic favorite. She's for the girls.
One of the classics of all classics, if you will.
If you will.
The Bronte sisters would disagree. There's your hint.
I was going to say that's a
big
dead
one.
Giveaway.
If you've watched our first 3 episodes.
Yeah, it's somewhere in there. We mentioned that.
Yeah.
What's another really big hint? What's a quote?
Only the deepest of
love shall persuade me into matrimony, which is why I shall end up an old maid. Do you know who it is yet? Do you?
They already knew.
We are resurrecting Jane Austen for Pride and Prejudice next to come back, and we will not be an exterminator and a bug.
We'll be something.
You'll still be a bug.
I'm always a bug.
There's got to be a bug in the story. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for getting into Kafka with us. Have a good night, everybody.
And we will see you in the next episode.
Bye.